Alright, so I'm going to be doing a review of Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy. This was another comic sent in the Marvel Hall by my friend Chris. Chris, thank you once again, brother. And yeah, so this is basically a sequel to both. This was written by Ron Mars and artwork by Ron Lim. This is part of those Marvel miniseries that are like lost eras, are like lost stories from different eras of writers. Like again, it started with Peter David's Symbiote Spider-Man. And they've done others, like they keep doing it. I think they're really well. I think there is a fan base for them. I think they're pretty fun. Yeah. So this comic is the third. I believe. Yeah, it's basically the third in what is basically a trilogy. Called like it started with Silver Surfer Rebirth, which no one got reborn in that comic. Warlock Rebirth, nobody got reborn in that comic, and now we have Rebirth Legacy. Nobody gets reborn, and there's hardly a legacy. Anyway, so yes, this is I guess you could say part of the trilogy. I don't know if they'll continue it or not. It feels kind of finite, really. So the comic is basically about Silver Surfer, but we also have the tag along of Gineas Vale, the son of Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel. Not the one with the lightning bolt on his chest, the Kree one. So the comic begins with where it leaves off. It starts where it left off with Warlock Rebirth, with Silver Surfer looking for Gineas, and the two of them essentially battle the World Eater from the Planet Killer from Star Trek. I know that's not what it's supposed to be, but it's literal. They literally draw it like like the Wish.com version, the Temu version of the Planet Killer from Star Trek TOS. They beat it, and Gineas is just like, man, I wish I knew my dad and all that. He would have figured out something. And Silver Surfer's like, how about we go see your dad? You know where the time gem is. Let's go see it. And at first you're like, that doesn't, like, Norrin Rad would never do that. And they go back in time, they see Mar-Vell, and they're like, man, that was great, Surfer. And he's like, yeah, it was great. Bye. And it turns out that's not Surfer at all. That's Mephisto, who basically, I'm going to get this right out of the way right now. The basic villain plot of this story is fucking weak. Like, I like this comic, don't get me wrong. I've liked a majority of this whole Ron Mars Silver Surfer Warlock trilogy. But the villain plot here is really fucking weak. All, like, Mephisto does, he gets the time gem, he uses Gineas to, like, they break into the Infinity Watch's room, and they just, like, he uses Gineas' cosmic awareness to find the gem, and I'm like, Mephisto, you could have done this by yourself. You really didn't need to overcomplicate things. Like, he literally could have done this. Like, Gamora was just hiding the time gem in a jewelry box. You could have just gone in there yourself, dude. But then he just used it. I'm just going to throw Silver Surfer into the time stream. And I do like that Ron Mars remembers that Mephisto started out as a Silver Surfer villain. I know a lot of people associate Mephisto with, like, Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider and a lot of the supernatural villains, but a lot of people forget that he started out as a Silver Surfer villain, and it's kind of nice to come back to Mephisto being a villain to Norrin Rad. I kind of miss the two battling each other, and the reason why Mephisto battled Surfer in the first place because he's the purest soul in the galaxy, and he just kind of wants to corrupt him. Kind of like, I think, like, the original idea for it from when Mephisto was first introduced, it was supposed to be like the devil tempting Jesus in the 40 days he was out in the desert. Some shit like that, I don't know. But yeah. So Surfer and also Gineas Vale's here for the two stories. He also plays a role in Rebirth in a way. And this comic basically has a lot of Gineas tagging along because no one was going to read Gineas Vale Legacy. No, ain't nobody going to be reading your book, dude. No one barely read your book to begin with. So yeah. So he was just kind of a tag-along and kind of a side character throughout this trilogy. So Silver Surfer, going to clear his name, teams up with Thanos. They go forward in time, and actually there's a cool moment where we get to some Donny Cates stuff with seeing Silver Surfer when he became the Fallen One, getting Thor's hammer and becoming like the all-black Surfer. So we do get we get that little moment. That's done, and we move on. The comic is just fun. I always I gotta give credit to where credit is due, and I don't think I talked about this in my review of Warlock Rebirth or Surfer Rebirth, is that Mars is really good at telling a whole-ass story in like a short amount of time. It's not a strong story in this one, but it is a fun story, and it's a story nonetheless. He doesn't have to feel like he has to wrap up like in the last few pages. It actually feels like everything is deserved and well paced. So I'll give him credit for that. We do get the return of Eve Warlock, the sister of Adam Warlock, created by the High Evolutionary. That was the only thing they took away from Warlock Rebirth. I don't know we'll ever see that character again. But yeah, it's a fun book. That's all I could say, is that it was entertaining. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's just kind of like, it's just cool to see Ron Mars go back to a character that he clearly has a lot of love for and understands the universe. Like, he's clearly taking a lot of notes from Jim Starlin in his work, and that's fine. He's also being very respectful to like Jim Starlin and all the other stuff. Even giving nod to Donny Cates with the Fallen Surfer. It's a nice love letter to that era of Marvel Cosmic in the 90s, because it wasn't exactly good. But yeah. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah. If you've read the first two of this series, I would say give it a look. It's nothing bad. It's just kind of that's what really all these comics are, is harmless fun. That's what all these like lost eras, these lost stories are. Is just writers coming back to do these characters in a certain continuity and having it back in their little playground. It's just kind of nice. And that's what they all are, really. And isn't that what all stories should be? Fun. Anyway. So there you go, guys. That's my review for Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy. Ain't nobody getting reborn, and certainly there ain't no legacy to follow here. Anyway. But other than that, once again, I'd like to thank my friend Chris for sending me this comic, and if you've read this book, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of it. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.